Guess
You
what?
guys are getting this extra footage here.
54 looking like 28.
She's fixing my mullet, guys, so you don't get the mullet today on this
That's
opening.
cool.
Hey, it is the Mike OHearn Show. You good? You
I'm
good?
good.
We're good. We're filming. This is going. Today's a special show because of the fact it is about, and I wanted to do this. I wanted to talk about, because I'm pretty addicted to health and fitness. Now, that word could be, or it seems like it is a bad word. But is there a difference between being addicted to something that's healthy for your body and being addicted to obviously the other roots that would take you down a spiral of darkness? So I brought in a very new, but it feels like I've known him for decades, a specialist in recovery or addiction. Adam Jablin is going to sit down with us and talk to me about a few things. One thing is obviously health and fitness addiction, but also if you are dealing with some kind of other addiction that is taking you down the wrong way. I hope you guys will watch this, save it, and send it to a friend that may be dealing with stuff. And then on top of that, let's try to find out what it is about us health and fitness nuts that love this so much. But let's keep it on a positive that it's making us better and not destroying our relationships. Because I did hear, when I started out in this bodybuilding career in the 80s, you'll never be able to keep a girlfriend and because you just are so addicted to the one side, you have no balance. Let's get into this. This is a lot to cover, and I hope you guys are going to love this and really pay attention to this. I think this kind of information is going to help you in life much more than what protein to take in. Let's get it going. I've learned a lot over the 4 decades of health and fitness and being in the trenches with the greatest in the world. And one of those things I've learned a lot more about and how to build better muscle is nutrition and how it has changed over the decades. And that's why I have the Titan meal plan for you guys out there that are confused about nutrition. I'm going to set you straight. Get a hold of me today. The link will be in the comments down below for you guys. Everybody, get over to the Titan meal plan, and I'll see you in the Titan crew where I will fine tune any difficulties that you're having.
We're live, huh?
Wow.
I'm with the Titan.
Yeah. I'm with you. This is great, Adam. I appreciate you doing this.
Are you kidding? I appreciate you asking me, and this is a dream come true.
So you're on this level of talking to, I imagine you talk to everybody, but I also like that you talk to individuals that are at the pinnacle of their careers, their facets. And so tonight you're talking to the Lakers.
Yeah.
Which is huge. I know how epic that is to be called in to talk to them and kind of teach them something. And these guys are savages already. They've made it to the very top. And you're going to go in there and talk to them. But you were talking to me this morning about, you made it seem like it's so casual. And I guess when I think about my lifting and eating and training for decades, it's so casual to me. But you talked about it. So can you tell me then, addiction is addiction, or is that not true?
So
is that too broad, or
no? I like where we're going with it. I think I want to be complimentary to who you are to me, and maybe we can get into that later into the podcast. I want to get there is such thing, I think, as people that could be addicted to exercise, and it's that obsession of the mind. And when you're willing to hurt people, hurt your life, go into some form of a trap, it controls you and you don't control it. What I've gotten to know of Mike OHearn over the years, believe it or not, is you control it. You could be chiseled, cheekbones, shredded, and you could be like, my body needs an off season. My mind, just so you know, I would be so addicted to that look, I would hurt myself. I would not listen to my body. I could see.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's a great point.
I think you've found your calling, and you're a master, and you're teaching us. But I don't think for you weightlifting or what you bring to our world is an addiction. When it controls you and you can't control it, and the mind obsesses, and you're willing to hurt people, and you have these cravings that, Mike, are just not understandable or controllable unless you've experienced it. It takes you to literally addiction. It becomes as comfortable and easy as breathing to get whatever you need. And that's why I would say no. Like I would have to say, for you, training and the Titan lifestyle is a lifestyle.
Now,
It's
we've talked about a portion you just said, which is great, and you articulated it beautifully. I will not be that witty with my words. I'm sorry. But you said, when I need to go off season, I go off season. There's no question about it. I can't destroy the body or the temple that I'm creating. And I can see with social media, not with just the young kids that go, I got to be peeled all year. And they're starting younger and younger. And I sit there and I go, ooh. Because I remember as a kid, I knew that 9 months is off season. And then if I wanted to slice up, there's 3 months to do it. And then get back off season and feed the body and make it heal.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see that as much now. And I talk to kids around the world and they all say, no, I got to stay peeled. Instagram ready, they call it.
There's a term
There's
now?
a term, Instagram ready. I got to be able to pop the top and show it.
Man, I'm getting old, huh?
And I'm sitting there going, that's not healthy. Always in a deficit, always breaking down your body, always trying to stay at the peak of the mountain, as Frank Zane said and articulate. He said, you can't stay at the peak. You climb the mountain, you hit the peak, you come back down to base camp, you regroup. Then you climb it again. And that's a healthy way to live.
Yeah.
And so what can you say to these kids that are out there going, I hate that they chase fame and money with that kind of look. What can you say to them, or how should they diagnose themselves?
You know, I understand that these kids are a lot of them are making a lot of money and making a great living with that. And I don't want to knock that. And maybe they came from families that didn't have a lot of money and they're seeing income. I don't want to take away any of that, but I'm a big believer in having an outside reference to your life. Like, so if I were ever to talk about health and nutrition and fitness, I would come to you and I wouldn't want an outside reference to my life to know where to go left, where to go right. You go to somebody that's been in the trenches, been in the wars, so they know where the landmines are. They know to go, hey, Adam, make a left. Now, if they don't want to listen, they're not going to listen to Mike OHearn. They're not going to listen. That's Mike. That's just how it is. You know, like where you are in the industry and what you mean to a lot of us. Is Jordan telling a kid, listen, I want you to follow through. And if they're not going to follow through, and Jordan's telling them, then they're not going to follow through. Our job is to just be a light, give them the example. You tell them to have an off season. You tell them to please up their calories. You say play the long game. And if they're too in their heads, at least you did right. You did right. I wish I could tell them to listen. I wish I could tell them to listen.
Yeah, that's you put it so well. It's. I care so much about the health and fitness and what it gave to me, and I want everybody to, if they can, enjoy the same, because it's fun and it's like, holy cow! You don't have to be done at college. You didn't peak in college. You didn't peak at 30. You didn't peak at 40, and it's like, wow! You keep getting to these next levels.
And learning, right? So let's even bring that. Like, I love that time when I watched it. I wasn't there. I watched it. When you went to go be with Frank Zane, and also what it meant to you. Like, that's how this feels for me. What it meant to you to be with Frank Zane. And of course, I had this little like Adam voice being like, man, I love Frank Zane, but what's Frank going to teach Mike? You know what I mean? Like, but he did. He taught you just a little bit with the serratus. He changed your shot just enough. And I was like, look at that pop. I was like, the master still has it. Well, when you have that openness and that willingness, these are actually your ways, your steps out of a bad habit, out of an unhealthy dependency, out of addictions. When you have a light that you can follow. You know, you have a template, you have steps, you have a procedure that you can follow. You know, but it takes an openness, an honesty, a willingness to say something's killing me here. Something's not right.
And you hear Kobe talk about that. We lost a great one with Kobe.
Oh.
But he talked about how when he got up earlier and he went to bed and he practiced and did his things, he got to enjoy the life that he chose to create for himself. And there was no catching up to him because he put in so much work consistently. and consistently doing it right, not just consistent, because I think it's a catchphrase now. I'm consistent. I've been training just as long as you. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Then why is the result not the same?
Yeah.
There's got to be something.
Well, I think so. I'm going to use the one thing that I think, Mike, I did right. Like, it's one time thing I could look in my life that I'm like, that I did with all my heart and all my soul. Like, I put it in right, was my recovery. Right? I really did. That was the one thing that I put in. It's same thing with power bodybuilding and what you built. It was the one thing I put all my love into.
But how did you get to that? Because that's a huge thing to start the process. I'm going, hey, whatever this is taking me down the wrong path.
Yeah.
So how did you go, I'm astray?
I want to build a bridge real fast. I'm going to answer that question, but I want to build a bridge real fast. So with Kobe, right? Kobe and MJ, right? It was their love. What you do is your love. I found what I love. So for us, it's not work, right? Like it's not work. It's not. I saw you at Goals today, and by the way, you were the brightest beam of light out of all of us, and you've been there the longest time. You know, it's not work because we found that thing that we love, that we have our passion for. What happened for me, Mike? Honestly, that I don't know how far you want to take this conversation, but that was spiritual in nature. That was not, I went to rehab like with a lot of defense, and I went in with this idea that I'm going to be the most dedicated, disciplined rehab patient they've ever seen. Right? I'll be up at 4:30 a.m. I'm going to do the morning meditations. I'll do the 12-step groups. I'm going to do the inside trauma work. I'm going to be 5 minutes early to everything. I'm going to eat clean. I just went in with that mentality. And the thing backfired on me because everything they were teaching, I was like, well, that makes sense. Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. It was like I was learning what the disease of alcoholism and addiction really is. And it fit. It fit like you ever seen The Sixth Sense with Bruce Willis?
Yes.
Do you remember in the end when he finds out he's dead and the whole movie makes sense? Yeah. That's what it was like for me. Like when I first admitted I was an alcoholic and an addict, it was like, oh, right. That's why I got a DUI. That's why I wrote my ex-wife 30 letters that I'd stopped drinking. That's why I went to Arizona State University because it was the #1 party school. Because I didn't even know what I was, Mike. I just thought I was like a happy party guy. No, I had a real problem.
So what was the
aha moment?
Yeah, what was not the aha moment of being fixed? What was the aha? Because I think when you're in it and you're coming out or you're moving towards it, you have this. Is there a glimmer of light there that I can get to? Cool. But when it was black, when it looked like, okay, this just all sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. What was the decision to pull you out of that?
Well, for me, the truth of me is that I had to be intervened.
Okay.
So,
no, it's great because I mean, it's like if somebody's out there,
I would love to say I had a moment of clarity, but like I was going to take this thing as far as I could take it, and I had to have loving people around me, and they did it perfectly. Mike, every letter said something beautiful about me, a great memory, then what they're noticing and what they're witnessing, and then will I please get help? And I'm a lover. I didn't come in with this fight, and did I think I needed rehab? I didn't even know what this whole thing was, to be honest.
Right.
And just to see the pain in my loved ones' faces, I was like, yeah, of course, like whatever you guys want. But just to show you the denial, when the interventionist, his name is Michael Walsh, he's a godsend. When he looked at me and said, okay, great, we have a 28-day place. It's where I went to rehab. It's called the Hanley Center. And he's like selling it like he's like he's selling the Beatles or something. And he lights up. And all I could hear was 28 days. I could not grasp their pain. I'm like, where are we gonna say I went for 28 days? Like what? So it already went back to the me show. What are we going to say where Adam went? Forget about the people in pain right here. Like Adam. Where are we going to say I went? I can't disappear for 28 days. I'm running the family business. All be these excuses. Finally, he goes, okay, how about 10 days? He relaxes me a little bit. How about 10 days? We'll just see if you have this thing. there's no 10 days. It's just
Smart. He was good. He was good. I like this guy.
Yeah. And this is July, by the way. So tomorrow is my 17-year anniversary in recovery.
Wow.
Isn't that great? So this is I can't tell you what this means to me to be here with you right now.
Oh man, I appreciate you doing this.
This is great. And so he goes, it's July in Florida, humid, hot, miserable. And I'm like, yeah, okay, 10 days I can do. And I'm starting to think, okay, so we can do this 10 days, maybe right December, January. It's nice. It's beautiful. It's, this is a great, I'll go away for 10 days. I'm like, when do you want to do this? This is me again, mastering everything in my head. He goes, right now. I was like,
we're gone.
Yeah. I'm like, what do you mean right now? I couldn't process the words right now. I'm like, right now? Like, right now? He's like, yeah, right now. I'm like, right now. I sound like a broken record. And he's like, your bags are packed. The car's ready to go. We're taking
going.
it. Yeah.
You're in.
And little by slowly, this like surrender started happening, Mike. And they were teaching me things that I really should have learned in school. Things like make the appropriate face with the appropriate emotion. Like I would always smile at you even if I wanted to kill you. I didn't know how I was broken inside. So they had a poster, smiley face, happy, sad face, sad. If I was sad, it was like this. If I wanted to kill you, it was like
it's all the same thing. Yeah. It's all the same face.
It's crazy. I was really twisted. But the more I started learning about the disease of alcoholism and addiction, how it works, that it affects some of the best people in the world, the spiritual component to it, which was really the lifesaver for me, I started opening up maybe for the first time.
So you took that experience and now you go around and you talk to, like tonight, the Lakers.
Yeah.
And you're going to be talking to them. You gave me a little bit. I want you to say what you're going to be speaking to them about tonight.
Yeah, so they call me in. It's a very basic talk. And by the way, I want the truth to be told. I don't know if like the A team's going to be there, the B team, but it's the Lakers. No matter what, I'm grateful. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's just the trainers, but I'm happy to I'm happy to go. But it's going to be on the basic premise of the difference between a bad habit, an unhealthy dependency, and an addiction. And break it down really, really easy for them. So they can see a bad habit, right? I could pick up a bad habit anytime. I could be scrolling on my phone while I'm driving, do that 2-3 days in a row and think I'm going to get away with it. And I developed this habit of I'm Superman and nothing's ever going to happen to me. And but it's a habit. It's
right.
Nothing, Then there's an unhealthy dependency. I'm the kind of guy, Mike, this is if I take a supplement for 10 days in a row, let's say vitamin C even, I'm not going to leave the house on the 11th day until I take the vitamin C. I'm creating unhealthy dependencies on things. An addiction. Now we're talking about the obsession of the mind, the cravings, what you're willing to do, how it's hitting, your neurons, the brain science, how much you're lying, how much you're manipulating. I don't really get all scientific with them because there are plenty of good doctors that really know that. I speak to their heart. And last time I did this, you should have seen the hands going up and the vulnerability. If I have a gift the way you have a gift with us and you make this attractive and see what we can do it, they seem like, okay, I could trust this guy. You know what I mean? I could talk about taking too much Ambien, or my mother takes quite a bit of Xanax, and it opens a really beautiful dialogue. And when they start seeing, okay, wait, I'm not at addiction yet. This could be a great time for me to be aware of, I'm going to start working on this.
In the 80s or 70s and 80s, we said society's not smart enough about health and fitness because there's not enough information for them. And then you jump forward to now, and there's a plethora of information, and now they're dumber.
Snowflakes.
It's like
I love that word, snowflakes.
It's wow. We went extreme, and it just dummied everybody down. So how can you help these people, like the kids that want to stay cut all year, or the guys that are addicted to size? Because
that's a big one.
It's a huge one. These guys with wanting to be the most monstrous guy and not realizing what they're doing to themselves.
So what I'm grateful for is if I'm finally talking to them there's usually a sense of pain. They're talking to me because there's something that they're uncomfortable in. I think you and I both know, and you know the best of the best. When they're that focused, if they have a show coming, you can't say boo to them.
Right.
You know what I mean? They can't hear if it's Mike OHearn, if it's Flex Wheeler, if it's Lee Haney, if it's Arnold himself. You guys, this is the mountaintop, and if you're like, listen, you're hurting yourself. They don't care. Do you know what I mean? Because they're so single focused, and I don't think anybody at that point. You need to hit a bottom. But if they're struggling inside, I need to get to what's the causes and conditions of what's making them feel like they have to be peeled all the time. Like, what are the causes? What really happened? What's going on? Like, I know for me, I started lifting weights because I was the fat kid. Let's get to the causes and conditions of why do you really feel you have to be peeled all the time? Talk to me about this. Was it something in high school? Was it, did your dad call you Chubbo? What was it? And let's break it down. And then let's also look at the outcome you want to go to. Like, are you happy like this? Do you feel energized? You get your blood work done? And if not, how can we change the outcome? And that's where a master like you would come in. Hey, I want you to put 100 grams of potatoes right here. Let's see what really happens. Because so much of it's in the mind.
Yeah.
So much of it is in the mind. And I think that's what you and I both do really well. We walk people into the light. If they want to come, great. You know what I mean? But we can't. I wish we could put our cape on and save everyone, Mike, but it's like it just doesn't work like that.
When it comes to health and fitness and working out, I know you do it, and I know your son does it.
Yeah.
And he loves it.
Z-boy.
13, loves weightlifting.
Loves it.
That's such a great age to love something that's so good for you.
Yeah.
So what will be some of the stuff that you teach him over the next few years? Is there any insight that you can give to your son how you're going to guide him where he doesn't get so addicted to where this takes over his life? And is that bad? I mean, because Kobe and me are pretty addictive people.
I know.
I loved the workouts. I don't like giving it up. But is there a good part of that
I think
addiction?
so. I think there's a matching. There's somehow a mix and a love of integrating love and passion for what you do in your life. See, I was complimenting you at the gym, and I was saying, like, as a fan, I got to meet. I had these on my wall, and then I got to see. And then there was no YouTube back in the day. Like, that was my YouTube. Iron Man, Muscle and Fitness, Flex Mag. That was, and we would, like, I couldn't wait for the next one to come out, and we would read it cover to cover. You know what I mean? Cover to cover. And then bodybuilding.com happened. I would watch the Power Bodybuilding.
Started having an internet.
And then all of this. And what I got to see, and now I got to meet, was I got to see one of my childhood heroes integrate who he really is and his passion with a wife and a child and a team. It's not balance. I don't think guys like you and I can be balanced. I don't think Kobe and Michael can be balanced. It's not balance, but it's an integration. Mona loves you and knows who you are. You love Mona, and you're raising. Well, that's what I would want for those kids, is to integrate. Like, if my son loves the gym the way you did, I'm actually going to push him more into it. I want him to feel that love. But let's just say it. No offense to all these kids. I hope you don't get offended, but don't take the shortcuts. There's a reason. There's a reason Michael Hearn's around a long time. Don't take these shortcuts.
I like how you said integrate, and then also, I think that balance thing is, there was a balance when I grew up, and what my parents believed was balance. Do this, work, play, this, that, and the other thing. And I love the aspect of there's an imbalance in my life that allows me to live my life and the love I have for it. And then, like you said, Mona came into the picture and added to it in a great way, where I didn't have to become a different person. I didn't have to change for her. I had to actually continue what I was doing and raise my game even more. which was a cool thing.
I think it's the coolest thing in the world.
If you are confused about training, do not worry. That's what the Titan training plan is for. For you guys to subscribe to this plan, you also get the additional coaching from me in the Titan private group. Get in there today, and I cannot wait to start working with you and making your dreams come true. Let's get back to the show. You and me were talking about something about before we started filming today. And it was talking about how Mona was raised in a communist country without parents, and she had to escape to come to America. And I sit there and I think, wow, I got lucky to be born here, and with two parents that were educated and both worked and stuff. And if I ever start to quiver on anything like, shoot, and she's like, man, you got it good, shut up, don't even. And I think that goes back to Robbie too. We were talking to Robbie and we were down with Frank Zane, and I got those two together after, I think, 25, 30 years they haven't seen each other.
Oh my God.
And so I got them together.
Oh
I had to
my
do this,
God.
right? Do you imagine?
You got Michael
Yeah.
Hearn, got Robbie
Robbie
Robinson and Frank Zane together. If you're from my generation, you understand what you just heard. If you don't, rewind the tape.
Yeah. And I got those two together, and it was so cool to see an 81-year-old and a 76-year-old be 15 years old again.
Oh man,
that
I'm
mentality.
This is crazy.
And we went out and we did some bow and arrow because that's Frank loves it. And I was just sitting back and watching these two guys and how they crafted and built their physiques through a time, you know, the 50s, the 60s, or the 60s and 70s, and becoming who they were. And how Robbie grew up in Louisiana and then Florida and the swamps, as he says, and Frank. It was so cool to see, but the hardship meant nothing. The hardship they appreciated. It wasn't a hardship. It was, I'm going to make it happen, even though I'm growing up this way. And it was cool to see because it's like, I felt that my hardships, on whatever hardships I've had, has allowed me to become who I am. Where if I didn't have any of those traumas as a kid, being dyslexic and stuff, if I didn't have that, I so wouldn't be here today. Mm-hmm. I so think I would have been just an engineer like my brothers and sisters and doing whatever they're doing. I would not have been so driven to be an outcast, a lone wolf, something so different. Because when I was growing up when I was training in the 70s and 80s, is like, I could see Arnold and all those guys, and I was like, I'm going to make this kind of living. And my dad's like, well, that's not a living, son. That's not, And him being a school teacher, he was pretty, but he was like, as you were a father to yours, he was like, out of 10 kids, he's like, I'm going to let you go free. You do your thing. Do whatever this is that you're passionate about. And he said that to me at such a young age, and I just never dropped it. And so for these kids out here, and then getting Frank, Zane, and Robbie, I know I'm all over.
No, you're not all over.
But
I actually am following just fine.
Yeah, but just those hardships as kids will set you up to win if you can make it through.
Yeah.
I know that's if you can make it through. And so if there's people out there struggling with getting huge in the health and fitness world, or staying sliced, or your mentality is I got to be like this, or you are drinking and stuff.
Yeah.
There is help for this.
There's help, and like you said, that hardship will be a trampoline into and let you jump into the brightest future, and you'll literally live in a different reality and a higher dimension. It doesn't mean that you and I won't experience pain. I remember you know, I don't want to bring anything too sensitive up, but you know when you mentioned that he passed and what this, you know, and what did you? But then you did channel it the right way. You channeled it, and you know, so you're still going to experience hardships, but you do it with like a purpose, and you do it with an open heart. And Mona, like some of these videos that you guys make, she's shifted my whole entire day, because I'm telling you, I'm a spoiled brat when I hear what she had to go through, you know. And my Emily, by the way, similar. Her oldest child is handicapped, doesn't talk, and she's so grateful every day. She's so happy. She gives so much love to people, and I could be, I get a little cynical, get a little cranky, and it's like these women they're such strength to, and people are looking at you and I.
That's the funny thing. Yeah.
But they really they have something that really is a great foundation for you and I to stay grateful and appreciative and do what we're doing.
Yeah, I love what you're doing. I love
Thanks,
what you do because you're really. I mean, I might be helping people get in shape and stuff like that, but you're helping people come from a real struggle and pulling them out and helping
see it
them do
differently,
that.
Mike. I mean, I appreciate it, but this is still my foundation. And as a matter of fact, many times I think a lot of people that I'm helping pull out of, I'm like pushing them here. I'm pushing them here. They need that outlet. They need to find that thing. And if you really break this down, this is our health and wellness. It's coming at it from two totally different angles. Because unfortunately I'm dealing with people that really, really hurt themselves. But Mike, what they need is this.
Yeah, I think we both agree on that. I think everybody needs to be weightlifting.
Absolutely.
Everybody should be taking care of their temple. And eating as best they possibly can. And I know that we won't get into the deep endorphins and all that kind of mental mind switch and change that you get when you go to a gym and come out and you're all fired up.
I should tell you what I saw today?
Go for it.
It's different when you're with you live than a camera, right? But every single person that came up to you, you made eye contact, you listened, you complimented them, you gave them their time. I was like, I knew it. I just knew he's exactly. If they say sometimes don't meet your heroes, I'm like, no. Meet your heroes. Because if you pick the right ones, they're going to live up to it. I mean, you were so kind. You were so kind to everybody. Those two young boys who were great, by the way, great young men. Yeah, and you're like,
great future for them.
Stick with the basics. Giving them the time, and I'm sure you could tell, like they were just giddy to be with Mike OHearn. But they try to keep their composure and tell you what they're doing every day, and you were just so genuine with them.
I appreciate that.
It was great, man.
Thank you.
That's how I walked out of the gym. I'm like, that's the real deal right there. Yeah. That's the real deal, and that's what's missing.
Yeah, it is. And like you said, man, I'd love to for both of us to save everybody, but we can only give the advice. As my team was filming today, I was talking about something, and it was just a basic exercise, and because a whole bunch of people came up and asked, well, why are you doing reverse bench? What's that do? And I was like, well, it's a tricep exercise. But it's so much more than that. It will build some muscle on your tricep. That's what it will do. But it will give me range of motion. And I was just trying to talk this video. And it was a bridge, like we said. It was like, at the end of the day, weightlifting and all this is great. And you'll get cut and you'll get muscular and you'll get strong. But that range of motion will keep you healthy for a lifetime. And so it's just an odd little change of my hand. But it was so much more than, hey, let's get jacked. And the point is, you're saying these things today about addiction and about being committed and dedication to things. But it's just a little change over time can do so much.
Just 2%. Just 2%. And you shift your whole trajectory. I want it. Can we flip it? Can I ask you? Let's bring it back into the center. I think it'd be good for them to hear from you. Even though I'll be the addiction expert on the show, because I know what they want to hear. So when you're shredded and you have these commitments, you have the movies that you do, you have the guest posing. There's quite a bit, Michael, and you get to that lean, and you do remember when you'll do the fasting for a couple of days.
I get crazy.
Yeah. And you have the programs to show us how to do it. I know that, right? But is it at this point in your life, or was it ever? Let me say this: was it ever difficult for you to let go of? Okay, that's how I'm looking now, but I'm gonna up my calories 6, 7, 8,000. I'm gonna put on a little water in my face, or do you just go, no, it's just like you're detached from the result in the mirror?
I'm detached.
Wow.
I would say that I learned early I was detached. And I think it was just a combination of having good coaches, understanding nothing is forever.
Okay.
And if I'm going to try to hold on to something, it's going to wreck me. And it's been confirmed throughout the decades. Because you got to think that 83, and what are we in? We're in 23. So 83 was the first time I was on stage. So I was on stage 40 years ago, and I won. But I knew as soon as I won and I looked incredible, and that was great, I knew I had to go off season. And I never kind of went back to that. It's like I know that that's there in my back pocket if I need to get there. But if I really want to do this for a lifetime, which I was told through my early years that you can't. That was one of the big things. You cannot do this. You can't be on the cover of magazines when you're 50. You can't do that, son. You got to, maybe 25, 30, cool, but then you got to get something else. No, I'm good. No, I figured out a way that if I can just keep going, feed, heal, then push it to another level.
Yeah.
And then heal and feed and push it again. So I never really...
Yeah, off season, that cycle. You know what I mean? Let your body... But I would love for them to be able to... This is the key that I got out of that, right? Like, I hope we can make a clip out of it. If I hold on... That's the same thing with addiction. It's the letting go. You said if I try to hold on to that... This is a direct quote, by the way. It will wreck me. That was your awareness about of addiction. Like, I wish that everyone could hear that from Mike OHearn. If I felt like I had to hold on to that, that's called letting go. It would wreck me. These guys will do anything to keep it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And I don't know what they're playing with, and I don't know. It's none of my business, but they'll do anything to keep it. And when you're holding on like that, like you said, it will wreck you.
And you see it too. You see that destruction to a person. Mostly when they get carried away with it. We know in the health and fitness world, you can get carried away with this. And there's got to be a healthy part to it. And I love that this last, I'd say 5 or 10 years, people are really pushing like, hey, get your blood work. Take care of yourself. Make sure that you're doing good from the inside. Because I was always say, shiny car, bad engine. What's the good of it? What's the good of it?
I love that you promote that, by the way.
100%.
I love everything. I also love that you do. Do you still do it when you talk to the kids? I love that. There were a couple. I showed my son a few of the videos. There were ones that you made. Maybe it was with Clark, where you were like telling him like eat. My mom used to make me and have your milk, and I was like, you see, like
that
the
confused
basics.
people.
It was it's the basics.
Confused. Yes, it was because I grew up during that time where it was the peanut butter and jam sandwich. Mm-hmm. It was the milk. It was that, and me explaining that to kids in today's world was confusing to them.
Really?
Yeah, it was very confusing. It's like, well, that's not good eating. Well, okay, I had pasta, I had proteins, I did that, and then I had the sandwiches in between, and I was also playing football, and you're also 14, 15, 16 years old, you're burning. And then I was also weightlifting after football. And so, yeah, we still do that, and we still preach it. Me and the team preach that mostly through those young teenage years. Use those years because you're growing.
Yeah.
And you're not going to make your actual size. And my brother's an example for that. He wrestled and he always cut weight, where I was a heavyweight from the start. And so I was enjoying it. I was eating. He's like trying to cut weight and get down to a lower weight class and a lower weight class. And that set him up for life being smaller.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like kids, they don't realize that they're going through that puberty stage. Eat, feed your body. Don't starve it.
I love that you teach that, though. It's so healthy. And I love that you break it down. When I was showing my son Ozzy, like it was basics. Yeah. It wasn't counting macros. It wasn't, and not that any of this is, all of this is information is so valuable. Understanding macronutrients, and if you want to manipulate your carbs, and if you want to try to ketogenic, I understand all. But it was like just the basic. It was the way I grew up.
Yeah.
It was the way I grew up, and when I showed it to my son, it made sense to him.
Great.
It made sense to him.
Yeah, because he was understanding this is how he ate in his time. But now, man, these kids could be eating perfect through school because there's so many better nutrient foods that they can get to.
Yeah.
They don't have to do the Wonder Bread that I did, you know. Pastas and noodles are still great, though. But, you know, yeah, I'll keep preaching that because I think the only reason I'm here today is not because I started at 50
Yeah.
or 50. It's because I started so young. And I kept healing the body, making sure no matter how hard I pushed it, I'd come back and take care of it, make sure it's good and keep going forward. So it's never got to that point.
I also love how you've learned, and I think this is a Michael Hearn thing. You've learned how to keep your strength the same and up as you deplete the body.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah,
how did you figure that out?
That would be the whole concept of my principles of training. I always say there's no light weights. There's just reps. And then you get the weight that you can do those reps with.
Yeah.
And so I know a lot of people say there was heavy weight and lightweight. No, it's all heavy. You want to force it on the body. You want to stress the body. That's what it's about. It's about stimulate and stress the body. That's how it gets stronger.
Yeah.
And then I developed power bodybuilding because of the fact that I kept cutting up when I was younger, and I kept losing so much size, and I'm like, well, what's going on here? And let me say this, I was around the greatest power lifters in the world. I wasn't around the greatest bodybuilders until around 17, 18. And so for those young teenage years, I kept losing a lot of size. I know that's very young, but I learned quickly that because I'd go to light weights and lots of reps, I just shrivel the body away instead of staying with what got me the muscle, the heavy weights. And so then I would stay heavier, and I started that process as a young kid. So 18, 19, when I did Teenage Nationals, Teenage America, you know, I walk on stage at 220, and I still had that strength. And that was a key thing to me because I was an athlete, and I needed that. And then I just stayed with it throughout the years and made that form prettier and prettier and prettier. But the one thing is that I know that it's the joints and ligaments that help me save that strength, not the muscle. And so it's like I always compare, and I'll take the half size wrestler over the 2 times size bodybuilder. The wrestler will throw around the bodybuilder. Bodybuilder has tons of muscle. It looks great, but the strength, that man strength, is from the wrestler, that connective tissue.
Yeah, that's what my son Ozzy loves. When you say the skeletal tissue, do you know what I mean? So so we're keeping him with the basis of it's really, he does power bodybuilding. That's really, I mean, he is a Mike O'Hearn, like myself, a Mike O'Hearn fan. You know, and we have our squat day with my son. We have our bench day, which he does incline.
Okay.
Right.
Great.
And,
Great.
Yeah. So he does incline, and we have our deadlift day, and deadlift is the back. So we'll go right to the pull after deads. We're doing and we're following, but it's Mike. You should see the kid develop.
It's got to be crazy.
It's just it's such a joy. It's such a joy. And he's sticking with the basics. He's sticking with the power bodybuilding. He's got
this down. What I love too is he's at such a young age. When he gets that incline up to some crazy numbers over the next 3-4 years, and somebody goes, "Well, you incline that much, but how much do you flat bench?" And he gets on flat bench for the first time, they're gonna freak.
He doesn't flat bench.
Yeah, he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to. But when he does, they're gonna go, "You never do it?" No, it's such an easier exercise than the incline.
Can I ask you, like, can we just put everything on the table? How does that feel? Like, do you know that the impact you're making on the youth? Like, how does that feel?
It feels incredible.
It does, right?
It does, yeah, it does. Because I look back, remembering me at that age, that 13, 14, 15, and what the magazines and those guys meant to me.
Right.
And so I'm not, I'm just seeing this in the last 10 years that it really gets to those kids that are seeing it and going, wow, I could do this for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And it's not just a hype game for the first 10, 15 years.
Well, they also use, my son uses you as an adjective. You know what I mean? Like we would say, he's the Michael Jordan of, like my son. He'll like, if he sees something, he'll sometimes he'll do the negative of it. He'll be like, "Dude, that guy's no Michael Hearn." You know what I mean? Like it's really so. I hope you know
appreciate
you're
that.
making, dude. It's 100% true. I can't wait for you to meet Ozzy. It's making, and it makes me so proud. It makes me so proud to and being here with you. It means a lot, man. It means a lot. I know we're talking about a lot of things, from relationships and alcoholism, addiction, and health and wellness, and we're putting it all on the table. But for me, this really means a lot, and it's great that my son got to find you, and it's just crazy.
I'm glad you,
because I didn't push that on him.
You didn't?
No.
No.
No. As a matter of fact, his mother won't let me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he found Mike OHearn on his own,
and he's training on his own, watching you and mom.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And eating healthy.
I mean, look,
Wow.
he's still the one thing. Like, if I was ever to, I would love for him to watch this back. He is, I don't know if he uses the word insta-ready, but he constantly will sometimes be down on himself because he's not shredded. And I'm like, son, you look amazing. You know what I mean? The lines are coming in. You're healthy, but he sees these friends of his, and I just want him to stay the pace that he's at, because better than anyone, he could do he could do the dry out one day.
He could.
Like
he could do that, and it's there.
Yeah,
that's always going to be there.
But they're in competition with their friends, and I get it.
Yeah, no. I was that way. I don't know why. I looked at it differently when I was young. I think I always looked at it like, let them do their thing. They're going to burn out.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing, you can't continue to do what you're doing. And I think when I got to Gold's, as a 20-year-old, I sit there and I look at all these guys and I'm like, okay, I'm doing this right. And then I think having mentors that you really listen to really sets you up to win if you take their advice. And that's a tough thing for a kid to do.
Who were those mentors?
Joe Weider probably gave me the biggest talk that stayed with me till this day. And still, it was doing cover shoots, and it was after the Olympia, and it was me and 5 Mr. Olympias, and it was in the early 90s, early 90s. So there were some great guys. And he said, when I got there, he says, hey, you're going to shoot last. And I said, no sweat. First off, Olympias, they're tired. Good. Makes sense. I went over, relaxed, ate my food, did that. The day went on. Each guy got done, left, and I got over there, and he pulls in these bales of hay and did a huge setup for me. And I'm like, well, the other guy's just got a green screen. What's going on here? And he goes, oh, no. You're the romance guy. We're going to make this a big cover. And they brought a horse and these big hails for a cover of a magazine. They brought in a motorcycle. And I'm like, wow, this is good. He goes, hey, keep doing what you're doing. What you're doing is so different than all these other guys. If you do this, trust me, 2 things. You're going to make a huge career. And also, this is what society wants. There's a small percentage that wants this. There's a majority that wants this. And I'm like, I like what I was. Because by then, I was gladiators. I was doing all these things. I was doing the romance books. And I was like, and I was lifting. I was winning the California powerlifting and going to nationals. It's like, I'm having a lot of fun right now. And you're saying I can just fine tune this?
Yeah.
Without destroying myself?
Great guidance. I mean, I know the story from others.
Yeah.
But hearing it from you, it comes a little different in person.
Yeah, it's and I said, great. And so those kind of little things continued me on my path where I didn't go to the other path.
It's unbelievable. Thank God you listened. And thank God you listened to that little voice. Like you knew to stay Mike OHearn.
Yeah, which is all you kids record a lot of the stuff you're doing and save it, because we got all this old CDs and VHS tapes, which you guys don't even know what VHS tape is. But we got it transferred over onto computer discs or whatever. And we're watching this discussion with me and Anthony Clark. Anthony Clark was one of the first just huge reverse bench guys in competitions, closing in on 700 with Ted Arcidi and these guys. Huge bencher. And I'm like 22, and I'm interviewing him. And I'm looking back at the young 22-year-old Mike OHearn talking to Anthony Clark. And I go, good questions, kid. it was like, what did you eat the night before doing the powerlifting meet? What did you have that morning? What were you doing? And it was just little basic stuff that I was like, good for you. And so looking back at it, you said it a few times today, for the people, if they can listen, if you can just listen, maybe ask the right questions. I know that's a tough one, but listen and really pay attention to the people that you really want to follow behind, or who your mentors are. It's a huge thing. It's a huge skill that's been lost.
Young Mike O'Hearn was like, that's like a Kobe Bryant. Have you ever heard how Kobe asked everybody everything? How humble he was. He would ask Gary Payton how to use defense. He would call. Obviously we see him with his mentor, which is Michael. And he picked his brain constantly, but he would call everybody. You know what I mean? And that was a young Mike O'Hearn. Like, I'll learn from Frank. I'll learn from Robbie. I'll learn from these unbelievable powerlifters. Who, unfortunately, I didn't know those guys. You know what I mean? Because I was so the magazine.
Yeah,
guy.
I get you.
But you just picked and learned from everybody, but you stay true to yourself at the same time.
Yeah, I hope you guys understand at home. It's the concept of listening and really paying attention to what they're saying. Don't just talk to talk.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one tough thing. And I see that when I'm at expos or travel the world and I talk to somebody and I'm saying, hey, what I recommend you to do is this, this, and this. And you can just see it go in one ear and out the other, as they say.
Just give me a selfie.
Yeah, I don't care. I just get a selfie and I'm like, oh.
And you really
you could be the next Arnold. You
could
be the next, it's like you could be the next Rock. You could go do wrestling. Don't do bodybuilding. Go do this. It's like, it's tough to see somebody with potential like that, and they just haven't crafted the art of listening.
I think we're touching on something too, and we're kind of like peeling it back. But I think the fact that you stayed so true to yourself is also a reason that you didn't go down a dark road. Like honestly, Mike, one of the parts of my alcoholism addiction was I almost didn't know who to be at what time. You know what I mean? I would compartmentalize myself I had to be a businessman. I had to be this. I was like, and not people pleasing. It was just, I wasn't true to that voice inside. Is it about money? Is it about this? Is it about that? I mean? I don't know. I was lost.
That's
you
a tough
stayed
one.
true to that
Yeah.
voice. You knew who you were.
I got lucky. I discovered who I wanted to be, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
At such a young age, and it never changed. It didn't waver. I mean, I know I dropped, I got depressed at times through life, but it never changed.
Yeah.
And I never got rid of the just basic fundamentals of training and eating.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Well, I know about the death and the family death.
Yeah.
But do you think depressed or sad?
I would say sad.
Yeah.
I would say it's the lowest point in my life, losing my mom. Because when my dad died, I did the guy thing, just be strong, move past. But losing your mom, both parents, and it was like, sad. Maybe not depressed. I don't know what depressed I get.
Yeah, that's why I was asking.
Yeah.
That's why I mean, because I don't know if being around your spirit, and that's why I was wondering. I mean, maybe you were clinically. No, Adam, I was clinically depressed.
I guarantee you, they'll probably say, you were a depressed kid. It's like, well, I cut myself off from most people, but I continued to go to the gym. I continued to train. I continued to eat right, and stayed around a couple friends, and chose to live in the pain.
Yeah, see, that's
chose
healthy.
to live in it and say, I'm going to hurt, and I'm
going to go through
hurt.
it.
And when I come out, I'll come out. But in the meantime, I'm cool.
Okay, so this is perfect. That's Mike O'Hearn, right? Me, I'm going to have a couple of cocktails. I am not going to go through it. I'm going to stuff it down. You know what I mean? I'm going to put on a smile. And really what's happening is I do become depressed because I'm putting on this nonsense
right.
show. That's why I was like, I don't know. Maybe you were just sad.
I chose to be sad until my body would just come out of it in my mind.
Aren't you supposed to be sad when you lose your mother? Like, it's not, we're not talking about, Mona dropped the peanut butter.
Right.
You lost mom, and so I think there's a lot of valuable lessons for people that are hearing this. You know, I think your spiritual muscles are as big as your physical muscles, which says a lot. And your emotional muscles are as big as your physical muscles.
I'm not as big as this muscle.
Let's see.
Are you getting up, Mo?
Is that
what are we
tight?
doing?
Is that the guy?
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, that takes care of this.
And that's a wrap.
That's a wrap, my man.
Absolutely.
Thanks for doing it. Also, I appreciate you making that a point, because I've never really, I've had people say, "Oh yeah, you're probably depressed when you lost your mom," but me choosing to live that pain and let myself come out of it without harming myself in any way, actually doing the opposite and trying to stay with the most basic stuff.
Isn't that the grieving process?
Yeah,
You know, you went through. Yeah, I think it's remarkably healthy compared to somebody that would be the old Adam, which would drink, want you to. I lost my mom, but I want you to feel okay around me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And putting on a fake smile, and you just get exhausted. It's like you're playing some role that you're never being true to yourself. And I hope that this.
Wow, you just enlightened me today on today's podcast. I thank you for doing that.
Yeah, man, I think it's
I appreciate
true.
that.
And maybe it's the same thing with the Insta Ready. Like, are you happy?
Right.
You're shredded.
You're shredded. Eat, kids. Basically, we're saying eat, be healthy, enjoy it.
Amen.
Where can everybody reach you?
Yeah, so I'm at Adam Jablin on all platforms, and my coaching is called the Hero Project. It's like taking people find the hero, within them, and it's between the hero's journey or 12-step principles or what I've learned from coaching, and you put it all into I call it a project, Mike, because it's not a program. It's not a 12-step program. It's everybody's their own project. It's like how you and I would put delts on a certain person, and your lats are a little high. Let's work on the lower ones, and you need a little more quad sweep. Each person's a project. It's not a one size fits all.
Right.
So that's how I do my coaching.
I
It's
love
very
it.
individual. Yeah.
I love it. So share this to everybody. If you have somebody that's wanting to stay ripped all year, or somebody that is dealing with a substance.
Yeah.
And I know the crew and the people that you've worked with and work around are the top notch of the world in what you're doing. Man, I love that you're out here in LA.
It's crazy.
Meeting with the Lakers. I got some serious friends that are going to be jealous of this. Laker fans till the end. So that's cool that you're talking to such elite athletes again. I just think that's awesome. Those coaches are smart for bringing somebody in to teach them just the little subtleties.
And Mike, just so you know, this is what's happened really with my sobriety. This is what happened today with me to be here with you. I couldn't plan this if I tried. This has really been a matter of just really doing the right thing, and then you get to meet one of your idols and your heroes, and you get to break bread and spend time with them. But I don't want you to like I wasn't calling them, and I couldn't plan this if I tried. It's crazy.
Worked out good for me.
Yeah,
I
me
love
too.
it, brother.
Me
I
too.
love
Are
it.
you kidding me?
Let's get out of here. So thank you for hanging. I think I'm going to need a second episode with Adam because there's a lot to cover. And I want to go even deeper into the discovery, which, again, I thought I was in a depressed mode when I lost people, but maybe I handled it correctly. And maybe if we can get into that aspect of life, that depression and what you're holding on to and try to let go of and move past that. Well, I hope you guys make sense of this. I'm all over the place. I love this. I love being able to have these kind of talks with somebody like him, an expert in the field. Again, go follow Adam. Highly recommend it. And then for you guys, I will see you next week. But again, feel free to tell me who you would like me to sit down with and talk to.